was recording last week's video at the altar in the chapel, and I saw the reflection of the windows in this window here between the chapel and the church, and I just said, man, that'd be really cool to get the reflection and the crucifix and all that stuff, and you don't really care, but I thought it was awesome, so that's what we're doing. Anyway, 16th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we have a powerhouse of scriptures for us. From the divine encounter with Abraham and Sarah and the three persons of the Trinity, really, we see rooted in this divine encounter in the first reading, the Trinity visiting upon the house of Abraham. And a beautiful moment of beautiful life-giving promise from them to Abraham and Sarah. The gospel reading, we have the iconic story between Martha and Mary and the conflict there between, doing and being. And again, there's not a real distinction between these two. There's a responsibility to activity in the world and the need to provide for the needs of the household, family, others, whatever it is. But at the heart of it, without being at the feet of Jesus, taking in his word, his teaching, his presence before us, nothing else matters. We can do all the preparation in the world, nothing else matters. But the thing that strikes me the most is the second reading, actually. This is what, I don't know. This is a couple weeks in advance. I don't know what I'll open up for the weekend homily, but I shouldn't have told you that. I know you thought it was live. But anyway, St. Paul says, I fill up what is still lacking in the sufferings of Christ. And that's one of those things how could the suffering of Christ be lacking? That's the sacrifice that brought salvation to the world. What's missing? And it isn't so much what's missing from that sacrifice, except for us. That's the reality. The body of Christ was killed on the cross, but the body of Christ still lives on in the world as the church. And until the end of time, Christ's body, each and every one of us, is going to be sharing in his suffering on the cross. And so, in a sense, finishing the job of the crucifixion, in a sense. I think that's probably the best way of describing it, and in some ways brings back into frame the necessity that we have to participate in suffering in the world. It's not so much that God designs it inflicting it. I say this all the time. God doesn't inflict the suffering that you endure, but insofar as we are united with Jesus, our only option to the other side of the cross is through the cross. Our only, way to the resurrection is through the passion and death of Jesus and sharing in, that experience, and allowing ourselves to really be transformed by the suffering we endure, to suffer through the transformation that we undergo, both ways, our conversion and then just the things that happen to find us in the world. But I think this point is really important. St. Paul is filling up what's still lacking in the suffering of Christ. Not that Jesus' offering was imperfect, except it's not finished until we pass through with him. So don't run away from the suffering you endure. It really is an invitation from Jesus to share in the victory that he wins over sin and death, over suffering and that passion as well. So embrace it and know that it is leading you to the glory of the resurrection on the other side of the cross.